Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I suppose this is on YouTube. This is our public show. So, welcome back to the crypto frivolity at rationalinvestor.com. And there we are. Looks like we're live on YouTube. So, that's good. So, Bearded Nerf Herder. Cool name. That looks like Casey. Is that Casey's bubble baby? I think it is. Anyway, we are now live on YouTube. So, there you go, dude. And by all means, Casey, you're more than welcome to pop into the lounge here and hang out with us. Got about a half a dozen or so of the OGs hanging out in the lounge with us here. I always like to have a few people in here, and that way, if I tell jokes or something, I don't have to wait 5 seconds for the reaction out of you guys, or if I say something really stupid. Anyway, welcome back. We are doing this on YouTube. So, and I have noticed there's quite a few people that watch these videos through the week. So, enjoy the broadcast. Those people that are on YouTube, if you are part of the public and you have a question, feel free to post the question in the YouTube little chat box there. We should probably, for whatever it's worth, we're heading into the new year. We're heading into a new term. And we have a new term of the level 1 program about to begin. I think Julian's been doing it off of the level 1 program. He's been doing it off of the Thinkific platform. I think our plans are to get this migrated over to the site, but nonetheless, this is our program going through. And what I really like and what I'm hearing a lot of is really jazzed. People are really jazzed about things like the strategic planning and understanding these long-term cycle pivots. So that's the kind of education material I don't see taught anywhere else. But also, too, what I really want to hear from people and what I really want to see is more conversations about people working with trading plans. This is just a simple overview of how I like level oneers to come out of the level 1 program, understanding specifically, who they are, why, where they are in their lives. Is trading even appropriate for you given your financial conditions, and where you want to go with your trading. And then, a big part, it's important for us to have that strategic vision and think about the big picture. And actually really articulate what it is you actually want to get out of this. I mean, I think it's so important. And then, and this is sort of, you see lots of people talking about, hey, I'm buying, I'm selling, I'm buying and selling. That's all your sort of tactical plan. What kind of money are you working with? So then, based on the risk parameters of the model, how much, money you can risk on any particular setup. Have I thought about things like commissions and, how, OK Coin and all their issues? Of course, this is OK Coin trading plan. And then, have you set yourself up for success? I can tell you absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, if you're thinking about trading on OK Coin, you better and you're day trading, you better get used to having alarms go off at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, because that's par for the course in that world. So have you actually given this some serious thought, right? And then, sort of the final piece of the puzzle, and really what I'd really like to hear more conversation in Twitter and Facebook, whatever, the social media, is what are your reasons for actually acting in the marketplace? Do you have 3 unrelated reasons? We used to always say, CME boys used to always say, if you can find 3 unrelated reasons, things like a really good trade location, price structure, indicator confirmations. We've been all jazzed lately about Da Vinci and his Davo signals. That's one classic indicator confirmation signal. But do you have Three unrelated reasons, because odds are, like I said just a moment ago, CME boys used to always say this: if you can find three unrelated reasons, odds are you can probably find 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the irony of trading is a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. And what I often see when I'm ranting on Twitter and stuff is I'll put out sort of a half sort of baked idea, and a lot of people will come in and say, well, I can see the other side of the trade, Brian. So, maybe be a bit careful there. Ironically enough, when you have like those three unrelated reasons, and then you look at the chart and you see, oh, well, actually, this is also a reason, that's a reason, there's a reason. And what's really interesting is when you put those kind of ideas out on social media, everybody's like, yep, totally makes sense. Yep. So, if you are, and like I said just a moment ago, a huge part of our education program is equipping people with, the trading plan and sort of your strategic vision. What is it and why is it you're actually doing this? And is it appropriate in your life? Then clearly articulating what your tactical plan is, how much money are you using? So that means, how much money can you risk on any particular trade, given the different type of risk takers in the marketplace. And then finally, what are your reasons for actually acting, i.e. setups? What are your three reasons? And, once you're actually at this point of actually having this trading plan, then you can actually decide whether you're actually a half decent at trading or not. And what do I mean by that? Well, the irony of trading is most people don't realize this when they first come to the market, and it takes time to learn this. One of the sort of key concepts we teach in our education programs is we actually have to figure out whether it's a case that our reasons suck and we're just, we got to come up with better reasons to justify us risking our hard-earned money, or is this a behavioral issue? And a lot of people fail at trading just simply because they cannot control their behavior. And a huge part of what we do in our education programs, I mean, I can't stand over somebody with a whip, oh, you screwed up. I can't do that. It's not realistic. Ironically enough, the only way to actually correct bad behavior is you yourself have to look in the mirror, identify that you're not behaving correctly, and you got to make a commitment to fixing the problem. That is extremely difficult. And it's, if you don't have this trading plan framework, whoops, did I just put it away? That's too bad. Let me pull up the trading plan I just had open there for you. If you don't have this trading plan framework already vetted and already all written down, this is exactly how I'm going to act, why I'm going to act, where I'm going to act, blah, 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 blah. How on earth are you going to be able to tell whether you have behavioral issues and I just can't respect my stops, I take the trade too early, I take the trade too late, I was listening to some clown on Twitter, and so as a result, I closed my position out early, and it turns out the damn market ran to my target? How are you going to be able to know whether it's a behavioral issue or whether your setup sucks? And so a big part of our education program is simply going through the process of equipping you as new traders with all of these tools, all of these supports that help you identify whether you're actually extremely professional and up to speed and you can manage yourself, or whether you actually have to get back to the drawing board and really correct, sort of internal behavioral issues. So kind of a funny tangent to start the broadcast off there today. But, because we have a new class, it's a new year, maybe even think of it as like, okay, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution to get my act together and build my trading plan and hold myself to account and really turn myself into a professional. Maybe that was the purpose of today's rant here. But just a heads up, we do have a new level 1 program starting shortly. And if you do, if you are interested in taking that next step to become a professional at this game and learn all the sort of tools that professionals do, please feel free to pop on over to our school page, therationalinvestor.com/learn. It's nice and simple. and you can learn all about our program. In fact, I might even put this as sort of the theme of today's broadcast in the I don't even know, maybe can I comment now? Oh, there, I did it. Done. So I've put that link to as sort of our starter here in our conversation here today. And just a heads up that we are starting a new term here coming up in the next few weeks. Julian is at the wheel. If anything, I'm tickled pink at the job that TRI team has done. Please understand this now goes way beyond just Brian. This is now a full team of professionals that are all here to set up, that are basically here to help you achieve those goals. And the great part about it is we actually farm most of the people that are at TRI are TRIers. So they've all bought the punch, drank the Kool-Aid. How does it go? Something like that. And so we all basically have the same message. And the level one program is basically quarterbacked, managed, if you will, by our COO, Julian. And he has an awesome team to help you guys out, get you set up for success for the rest of your life. Okay, wow, that was a bit of a rant. I apologize for the sales pitchy nature of that. You know me, I really don't like the whole shill side. But if you're thinking about it, given that it's the new year, and the irony of it all is that the crypto market is completely washed out now. Ironically enough, you actually don't have to worry about getting blown up now in crypto. All of the fluff is gone. The public's gone. They all think it's a scam, blah, blah, blah. They bought the SEC line. You go on crypto Twitter and crypto Facebook and all that, and it's salty as hell. And the people are bitter, and you can feel it in the tone of their conversation. So there's no fluff there at all. And then, of course, if we look at the price charts are beautiful. We were in the lounge this morning, and one of our guys here in the lounge this morning, Kevin, banged off a double on one of the pot coins. I mean, that's the kind of market that we're in, people. I hope you appreciate this. I used to always type up this one line, and the interesting thing, like, look at this PIVX. I mean, we'll go through the charts later on. I mean, it's remarkable how beautiful some of these charts are setting up. This is a weekly price chart, and I used to do showing. Actually, we did one recently on Coinigy, and it was really nice getting together with the gang. And I used to do regular shows with the Coinigy boys, and I used to always say, look, you want to make this really easy. Now, Casey, you already know what the answer to my question is. That's not fair. You're not allowed to answer the question before I even ask it. But that's good, Casey. Love you, babe. Anyway, I used to always talk on the Coinigy shows about weekly W's. Just wait for weekly W's to try and help you avoid the fluff. And right off the bat, I mean, where's Joshua? Please, people, take a screenshot of this. There is the most beautiful weekly W forming on this PIVX. I don't know, there's obviously no guarantees in this business. Don't get me wrong. No guarantees whatsoever. If anything, I tell the students that we are, by definition, actually statisticians. That's what we do, actually, as traders, is all we do is crunch statistics. And I would simply say the statistical odds of, if you're coming into the market to risk your hard-earned money and you're trying to make capital gains, the statistical odds of you enjoying success when you see things like weekly W's to help you frame your trade, they go way, way up. And like I said just a moment ago, if we, and this was the worst part about end of 2017, 2018, and here's 2018, was this market was extremely, heavy. It was actually very risky. I tried to get, new people coming onto the site to slow down. I asked them to just, dollar cost average their way in, try and, nibble. But I got to tell you, man, it was a freight train this time last year. So I'm actually, you know, it took a hell of a lot to actually get through that year of washing out. And this just happens to be one particular story. We could always go look at good old Bitcoin. If anything, you know, this is probably a really good place for us to have start our conversation. You know, ironically enough, I hate when TradingView goes and moves all my charts, man. Geez, I had them all set up all pretty. Give me a second here, and I'll try and set this back up here. There was the 2014 hangover. That's what I like to call it, after the big old party, and then cleaning the market up. But what I actually found, which I personally find fascinating, is that you can actually see that Bitcoin moves in a relatively predictable manner. And actually, we'll even talk about this in a moment. There's one altcoin. I can't believe how cliche these moves are. It's stunning. So we'll take a look at that in a bit. But you know, it's almost shocking how, and you know, I suppose in a weird sort of way, it makes sense because, you know, Bitcoin is very algorithmic in nature. And it, you know, if there's going to be like fractal pattern, that kind of thing, you know, if anything in this world is going to follow the fractal, it's going to be something like Bitcoin. But you know, I used to talk at length with the public about Bitcoin seems to have a very almost, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe this cycle it'll break, but I don't know. But you can almost see how there seems to be a bottoming period. And in, you know, 2014, it was just, it took forever for this thing to actually go sideways and then break out. We could argue something along those lines in 2011. We just don't have enough data. I wouldn't mind getting some data back to 2008. But you know, that's a little bit outside of this conversation. For TradingView, we only go back to like 2011. I think actually, if we look at Brave New Coin, you can go back to 2010. But anyway, then we go through sort of consolidating the base, like we put in the bottom. And then the following year, consolidating that base and sort of confirming that we're breaking out. Higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market, yada, yada, yada. Same thing here. Oh, I can't change the scale. Then we sort of go through, you know, and this is the funnest time in the market, especially in altcoin land. This is when the altcoins just have just a field day. Then we go through the end of the move, which appears to be very blow off toppy. And I find it fascinating how similar these cycles were. And then unfortunately, on the other side of that blow off top, we have to go through what I like to call the hangover. I mean, you might call it, you know, wipeout. You know, unfortunately, the public that comes in and buys the blow off top, they've got to go through a world of hurt here. And a lot of them don't make it. In fact, actually on this site, I congratulate the site members lately over the past few weeks. I just congratulate them almost on a daily basis. You know, you're obviously committed to trading. You haven't blown yourself up. You haven't done something stupid. And we've made it through the lion's share of the correction. You know, I've been talking recently with people about, you know, are we there yet? One study which really caught my eye, which actually surprised me a little bit, if we actually look at the dates of the 2014 correction and how long it took to actually hit its ultimate bottom, that was 264 bars, or excuse me, 364 bars, right? Just about 1 year. I found it really interesting when I took that exact same number, 364, off of this recent peak. It's fascinating how that number actually lines up almost exactly with our ultimate low that we saw there about a week or two ago. Fascinating. Is this the bottom? Maybe. I mean, as I said earlier, at best, we are statisticians by nature. Anybody who tells you absolutely this is the bottom or this is the top, we used to always say in the stock market, the only way that you'd know that is if they were privy to insider information. And if they're trading off of that insider information, technically that's illegal. So, it is interesting how Bitcoin still is technically an unregulated market. But I don't think anybody in Bitcoin is at the point, I haven't seen it yet, where they call exact tops and bottoms. Frankly speaking, I remember specifically going through this period. We did a whole bunch of studies. We figured on TRI that, somewhere 5,000, maybe 10,000 as a crazy, insane target was the top. And sure enough, the damn thing almost went up to 20,000. And I'm like, okay, coin forwards, it was well beyond that. And remember, we had the crazy. Oh, thanks, Alder. And actually, maybe I should take a moment and talk about that. Alder on the YouTube page just said Da Vinci sent me, said you're the TA man. So I appreciate that, Alder. Da Vinci and I have a history because he, in essence, came to me back. Let's see which chart's the best to show you. Da Vinci came to me back in, I guess, I think right around in here. All right, we were in the bottom. And it was interesting at TRI, we all sort of collectively took Da Vinci on as our group project. And I got to love him for him. A very strong-willed, incredibly smart gentleman. And he took it on himself to learn how to control his behavior and how to learn how to trade setups. So I'm very proud of Da Vinci for that, because it was really, I see this with a lot of students. They come to me, they're full of bravado, full of opinion, and then we sort of teach them over the level 1 course is 3 months in duration. And we sort of teach them that, look, at our opinions really aren't that important. They don't make a difference when it comes to making money in the markets. And that we really, really have to concentrate on setups. And he put his nose to the grindstone, and he found a setup that really spoke to him. And I was very, very proud to literally name the setup after him. And I tell all my students, everybody on the site, I would love to name a student a setup after you, and I would love to make you famous. And, we call it the Davo on the site. It's integrated into one of our notification systems. And actually, we've got a couple other setups that we're in the process of integrating into the notification systems. And I love talking about Davos on a daily basis. He put the hard work in, and the rewards paid off. And I've seen this probably on about maybe I would say about a dozen students over the past 4 or 5 years, where they come to me and, just to be polite, their trading kind of sucks. And some just don't make it, and they just can't make that transition. And it sucks for them, because, I have the best intentions. As I always say, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make it eat peanut butter. Dav ate the peanut butter. He made the appropriate changes in himself, and I'm very, very proud. And of course, he's done extremely well in the market. So I was a little concerned recently because, something like the little old lady strategy is very much something that I used to take from my brokerage days, because I used to have stockbroker clients that were little old ladies. And the actual portfolio strategy was actually, whenever I say little old lady, I think of Doe. She was my little old lady, and she did very well. We kept her out of a lot of trouble. And she participated in the stock market and played canasta and worked in the garden and yada, yada, yada. And it was, so something like little old lady strategy is actually very dear to me. And Dav and I sort of talked about it a little bit recently, and I think that he understands how near and dear that little old lady strategy is to my heart, and I think we're all on the same page now, so I feel comfortable in everybody's relationship going forward. So that's the only thing I'll mention with regard to that. I think Dav is incredibly brilliant. From what I understand, his Pandora's Wallet project is coming along, and I would fully endorse it as soon as he brings it to market. And I would even recommend it in our education programs. Okay, so just wanted to touch base on Dav. And Dav's part of the Coinigy offering. So by all means, if you're a Dav fan, watch out for those Coinigy shows. We'll probably have him on those going forward as well. And we're actually also kicking around the idea of maybe doing like I reached out to a few of the OGs that did fairly well through that last crypto run. And we thought maybe we'd do like sort of an interview. Where are you now? What are you working on? Is there any advice that you would give? Because keep in mind, most of those guys that were on the site, they came to me through this sort of 2014, 2015 mess, and we got them pointed in a good direction, and they did very well on this cycle. My hunch is probably the next cycle is going to look almost the same thing. And the issue, unfortunately, this cycle was we had to get rid of the fluff, and this has been a tough year. Don't get me wrong, I haven't enjoyed it one bit. And as I tell most people on our website, a huge part of my job on a daily basis is just to try and bring the PMA, which stands for positive mental attitude, and be sort of cheerleaders for everybody. Hang in there. You can do this. Okay, maybe you took a little too much risk on that trade. Okay, let's dial it back. All right, you want to be a day trader or swing trader? All right, that means we trade setups. All right, so if you want to just be a position trader, then you got to make sure that you're taking appropriate risks, i.e. nanny nibbles, little old lady, blah, blah, blah. So it's been a tough slog, don't get me wrong. But, as I just pointed out, I'm actually starting to see sort of the forest through the trees. And I'm feeling encouraged that a lot of the trappy nature, the oh my God, the public's going to get absolutely screwed here, nature of the market that we saw like last year. Everybody, does anybody? Where's the big Connect guy? Is he still around? All those kind of stories, they're gone. And if anything, what's really interesting on like crypto Twitter right now is all they're talking about is how everything sucks and it's going to zero. So we've completely lost the, hey, get rich quick, get rich easy money, all that kind of stuff. All those people are gone. And the interesting thing is, and this is what I was going to type earlier, and Casey gave away my secret. Hopefully you didn't see Casey's message, but the long and short of it here is, there's two different ways that you can read this line. And there really isn't a wrong way to read this line. It's entirely up to you and your personal perspective. I've been playing this game of, capitalism. How do we say this? Speculative participation in the market, for lack of a better word, because that's what we're doing is we're speculating. You could look at this situation as, man, everything's depressed, prices are low, it's all going to zero. Opportunity is nowhere. And that's perfectly fine. In fact, I'm not even here to tell you how to read this. Right? Opportunity is nowhere. The irony of it all, though, is that, as I said just a moment ago, this is not really a right or wrong. You could technically read this as opportunity is now here. It's entirely your perspective. Interestingly enough, when price is up near the top end of the range, I would have to read opportunity is nowhere. And I got to tell you guys, everybody on the site can go and look at our crypto portfolio. I have not done much buying over the past year. I've been pretty damn quiet. I did some nibbling back last winter. when the market, and this just happens to be PIVX, we should probably be looking at something like Bitcoin. When the trend could technically, you could say it could have been in flux. So if we do things like first stop targets, 38.2. So through this period, we might have bottomed and headed higher. I remember there was one gentleman, I'm not sure if I have his name correctly. Is it Richard Hart? He got quite upset when this 38.2, actually, but this is the wrong year, isn't it? Looking at the wrong year. Let's do this year. There we are. Through the winter time, and we just have a general rule on the site that we have to let 38.2 resolve itself before we can decide whether the market is still a bull or whether it's still bear, or whether it's still a bull or whether it's transitioning into a bear. And you can really see how powerfully 38.2 played out there. And I distinctly remember, I think his name is Richard Hart, but I'm not positive. I could have that totally wrong. He actually did a pretty public YouTube video, and it was very emotional. And he was talking about how we've lost 38.2. And so as a result, the bull market is over. And interestingly enough, he was spot on. Really, really good application of this 38.2 concept. Can you see that? What do you think, Zach? Can you see? Do you think you could use this going forward in your life? I like to pick on people that are in the lounge. So, through the winter time, I was like, okay, well, maybe we're still in a bull. But interestingly enough, as we sort of transitioned, and then, of course, this was, what the heck was his name? The CFTC guy, he testified in front of Congress. BTC Dad. There is a guy on the internet, though, likes to call himself BTC Dad. So I don't know whether I'm technically allowed to use that name for him. But anyway, the guy, he was basically the futures exchange spokesman. And he did his testimony in front of Congress. Don't shit on Bitcoin. Don't shit on crypto. And as a result, the market had a nice counter-trend rally. And the interesting thing about that is I wouldn't even be surprised if that was off of 61.8. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. So pretty normal price action. And I think I've told you guys in the past, all the site people know this. But I used to work with a guy at a prop firm who traded crude like the wind. And whenever he would see a 61.8 tag, he would just buy that. So I think I even remember on the site we used to talk about Mountain Man is in there buying, blah, blah, blah. That was the counter trend rally. And then unfortunately, and hopefully, I don't know whether you people on YouTube really know this too well, but we have a simple rule. If you ever see the market smiling at you, get ready. So I don't know. Can everybody see that smile there? Yuck. So that was a bad warning sign. And then remember too, this was Mr. I don't know. Well, I can't remember his name. Can somebody, that you guys in the lounge, can you remember that gentleman? What was his name? I think it was Richard Hart. I can't remember. Anybody on YouTube? Anyway, he was very upset about Bitcoin losing the primary trend. And in essence, that also confirmed the smile. Interesting too, Julian actually turned extremely bearish of Bitcoin through this period. And I got to give a hats off to him. He turned very, very bearish. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention that, Chris. All I just say was he was a bit emotional. And it sucks. I mean, especially if your whole business model is based on this being a bull and we're just going to keep rocking and rolling, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, hey, it would drive me to tears too. I mean, basically your whole business model is, put it back on the shelf. We're heading back into the canister. Mountain Man came along, put a bit of a bottom. You had Mr. Garzarelli, or what was his name? You guys just wrote it here. Somebody wrote it. Christopher Giancarlo. Thanks, Alder. I appreciate that. Put a bit of a bottom in the market. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see this little dip here into that 61.8, The pros actually bought it, and then the market went lower. And I bet you a lot of the floor traders and stuff were like, get your fucking ass in front of Congress and prop this damn thing up. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But anyway, nonetheless, we pivoted off a mountain. And then, and this is what I wanted to point out, we go and put in another happy face. Geez, come on. I thought we were a bull, man. So, you know, more happy faces, more failures. And I suppose at this point I was just like, yeah, you know, and interesting too, we also had the underside tag of 38.2 as well. So a bit of a tough slog. And sort of since this period, I've been very leery about putting on any real sort of positions in size. We did talk, and I do remember back in the spring, we were very interested in this cute little double bottom. And very much like 2014 with the China ban, we actually had a really nice rally that came out of that. And I was feeling a little bit more optimistic about the space because we held on to these lows. Of course, this was all predicated on we had to go up and bust this high to create this bigger W. And unfortunately, and this is what really sucks, is that, well, I guess it was over here. So we could not break this M, and we rolled back over. Boo, hiss, hiss, boo. You know, I suppose people that took like trade setups, this is a really good reason that, like, if you're a trader, not little old lady, not investor, but a trader, you ideally want to try and identify situations where you can identify the amount of risk you want to take on a trade. And that's why we like to use the W's, exact opposite of the M's. And so in essence, you're going to be buying this breakout and you're going to risk down to these lows, or you could have bought this bigger W and risk to a break of these lows. Anyway, you shake it, cute little buy signals in here. And as you can see, ideally for the traders, I like to suggest that you hunt for a realistic 2-to-1 profit objective. So where is 2-to-1 in this particular case? That was right in that area right there. If you took this W. If you took this bigger one, I don't know whether we hit 2-to-1. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So you can see there's 2-to-1. So I don't think it should surprise us that once we got up into this area, the traders started taking profits in earnest. Really, I don't think it should surprise anybody whatsoever. I suppose also, too, we could do things like fibs going from this low back up to this high. And I like to, as well, sort of continuing that thought, I like to suggest people use 50% levels as profit objectives. In this particular case, if you'd taken this bigger W, which I would have felt uncomfortable about, really do like this cute little W in here. If you took the little W and risked against that range, 50% level, yeah, gives you a really nice 2.3 risk reward. And, you know, if you're like, hey, I want to learn how to trade, I want to learn how to make money from trading, this is the bread and butter of what we do, is we wait for trade location. My hunch is if we probably put some indicators on here, we probably see a nice divergence develop through here. Then you wait for some structure, and then you step in, on this case on a W, and you use realistic profit objectives. And if you do this, like, let's say you're right only 50% of the time, at 2.37 risk reward, if you're only right 50% of the time on these trades, you actually see your account balance go up over time. It's just that simple. That's a trader's life. So anyway, long and short of it, just moving the story on. Sorry, I got all wrapped up in this little trade here. Where are we here? All right. So coming out of this period, we came down, flushed the lows after this broke. Even went and flushed Mr. CFTC Bitcoin Dad's low. And on that event, we actually put in another W. And so once again, I was feeling a little bit more optimistic, thinking, all right, well, maybe we'll put in a bottom. In this particular case, because we did flush these lows, this was going to take a bit more time. We needed to see sort of the counter trend rally off of the lows. So in essence, this is like this. Then we need to see a test of the lows, and then we need to see the market come back up and bust through here, and that would create a really big W. But unfortunately, as you can see, that did not happen. We have consistently been making lower highs and lower lows through this year. And then, and this is what I was really worried about, and this is what I've been sort of squawking about for a while, is what was the end of this bear move going to look like? I mean, kind of like actually very similar to sort of this PIVX. I mean, is it realistic for us to expect the market to bottom in here? And quite often, when we do reload zones off of this range, we actually see, and I've noticed this in crypto quite a bit, my hunch is this thing will ultimately put in a bottom and pivot off of this level, this 78.6 going forward. That won't surprise me one bit. But what I often see in crypto, which kind of drives you nuts, but I guess it speaks to the venture capital nature of this game, is markets love to retrace 88.6. So if we put that on this chart, gee whiz, now you can see the double bottoms coming in right off this 88.6. So if we go back to good old Bitcoin, which is the one I was showing you, this one here, there is 78.6. And, I distinctly remember all through the winter, and I still firmly believe this. If you are a little old lady and you are interested in investing in crypto and you just go and nibble away on your portfolio, I love the idea that because we are at or below the reload zone, if she calls me up once a month, once every couple months, says, okay, Brian, I'd like to buy a little bit more, please. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And really, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. For those people that are trying to time their purchases, and well, no, I'm not really a little old lady. I'm really more of a, Joe six-pack, and I don't want to see 50% dumps. Then, you're into, I got to hunt W's and all that kind of conversation. So if we throw on 88.6 here, oops, I got the right thing. And I think somebody did like a statistical study of Bitcoin corrections, and a lot of them like to correct this sort of 80 some odd percent. You can see that's still floating around here at like 2,500. So that bothered me a bit. And then if we go back to 2014 and how did it finish its hangover, there was, a calamitous dump right into the beginning of the new calendar year. And so this is what I'm really worried about here, is this calamitous dump. I haven't really heard anybody give up on Bitcoin yet, which to me is a little bit bothersome, because I've always said this in the past. Since we've been running this website and education program now, basically 2019, we're going to be coming into our 5th year. I've noticed year in, year out, cycle in, cycle out, Bitcoin can't end a move without either some horrendous blow off top or some sort of calamitous dump. It seems to be the way this silly cryptocurrency operates. So when I look at the current price action, I almost think that, this looks a little too polite. Sorry, this is just purely my opinion. I know a lot of people in this world. I tell people I really don't think very highly of opinions. They don't really make a lot of money in the market. I want you trading setups. I might make the argument, this is purely Brian's opinion, but I feel as though there needs to be one more sort of final calamitous dump here on Bitcoin to take us into that, that higher time frame, 88.6 fib. and give us that sort of capitulation event. I thought it was really interesting recently. I heard people talking about Bitmain. I think I have that correct. Bitmain is has just a whole ton of Litecoin, I think they said, and BCH, and they've been laying off people right, left, and center. And there's rumors going around that they're very close to insolvency. I think it's Bitmain. I'm not positive, but it's one of those. Can one of you guys confirm that here in the lounge? I don't know. Anybody on YouTube? I think it's Bitmain, but I'm not positive about that. And people were like, "Oh my God, they got a huge supply of coins, and if they're insolvent and they have to liquidate to pay bills, that could be our capitulation that we're thinking about." Yeah, but I hear what you're saying there, Steve, but I don't know. I mean, if anything, this felt like it was just too polite. I didn't really hear the, "Oh, the sky's falling, it's the end of the world, blah 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 blah" kind of thing. And I didn't, like back in this bottom here, there was a very public figure in Bitcoin. I think his name was Mike Hearn. Not positive on the name. And on this calamitous dump, people are like, "Oh, it's going to zero. Oh, it's the end of the world." Bye. I mean, it's just absolute panic. I remember I had one student who actually got sucked into this panic, and he ended up dumping into this, which broke my heart. But unfortunately, I can't control what you guys do. And that gentleman put up, I think he had like 30,000 Bitcoin or something like that, and really, I might argue, as long as that offer just sat overhanging the market, that the market was going lower. But instantly, the market went up and just chewed right through his sell order, like it was almost waiting for some sort of big capitulation guy just to panic and dump and get out. And the market ate him for breakfast. The interesting thing is that the market actually went sideways for the better part of a year following that event. So I'm not here saying that Bitcoin's going to hit some sort of capitulation and then go straight up. I don't know about that. But anyway, that's only time will tell. All I'm saying here is, I've got lower highs and now unfortunately lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, but we haven't taken this high out. So the irony of it all is, can you guys see how we could very easily just go and M out, especially if I change this to a line chart? Notice, oh, damn, there's another new M in there, right? And what are we supposed to be thinking if we see the market smiling at us? So, and actually it's interesting. I did have a few people who were saying, "Brian, when are you going to actually start putting that big cash hoard to work? When are you actually going to go start, buying stuff in earnest?" And frankly speaking, that's not the kind of picture I want to see for me to actually start getting super bullish. Sucks, but that's just brutal reality. So what I'm a little bit worried about here, I would actually prefer, believe it or not, that we just puke out and dump. And kind of like in 2014 terms, whoops, maybe that was the chart. Well, too many charts. My head's going to explode. Sorry, guys. I got distracted here. I guess we're over here. Yeah, in 2014 terms, I kind of like the fact that we M'd out and then just went through this, cascade of just pukage. And then it culminated in a big panic dump. I would actually, believe it or not, I'd actually prefer to see that. What I'm really worried about, what I really don't want to see, is I really don't want to see hold on a second. All right. I don't want to see us going like head and shoulders out here. Just go here to here to here to here to here to here to here. I really don't want to see us like put in this head and shoulders. Breakout. Everybody and their brothers getting all bullish, right? And actually this head and shoulders, I think actually it might even, yeah, run into 38.2 there. I really don't want to see us rally up into here, then M out, because then that could spell a lot more trouble down the road. I would actually prefer us dump and then go sideways and then start the rally all over again. So ironically enough, I'm actually cheering for the bear here because I'd like to see this market just get washed out, them clean out the bottom, just very much like they did in 2014. Then we go sideways for a good year, and we can repeat this this longer term cycle all over again, right? And 2019 will be sort of our bottoming year, just the way 2015 was. Only time will tell, right? I used to have a crystal ball. Unfortunately, I broke it, so can't give you any accurate predictions as to what's going to happen. All I will say is we've come into the end of the year here. We got one more day left. And, you know, at this point, because we've made, you know, if we look at, used to do these Coinigy charts, you guys all remember this. If we look at it from a weekly basis, there just isn't enough of a reason for us to turn like bullish yet. This is nothing more than just a dead cat bounce. And if anything, like I said, I'd like to see it go down a little bit further, just really wash this market out completely down to that 88.6. I think also, too, there's some gaps down below that need filling in. Maybe even revisit the old breakout highs. I think I've talked to you guys about this before. Usually markets, ironically enough, they actually want to go and test the old historical breakout level. And that's all the way down here at 1200. I don't know whether we have to go that deep, but I wouldn't mind, you know, like I said, that nice rollover dump. Oh, sky's falling, right? And then sideways, and then start the march back higher. So that's sort of my Bitcoin summary right now. Yeah, we enjoyed a nice green candle. Awesome. And of course, if you're, you know, you got like lower time frame trading plans and your trading setups here, I think there was, you know, some long setups that people have been trading on the site and doing very well. I don't think I really had anything in particular that really set up well off of that bottom. Like I said, I'm still sort of thinking lower, but I know what I like to do in the past is sort of go back to my last Twitter offering. I seem to remember that we talked about potential bullish bots coming out of this counter trend rally. You can see that the bottom didn't really set up very well here, which also too leads me to believe that, gee whiz, we probably have to go down and test that low at some point. I think I had the middle of last week, if I'm not mistaken. I think I was talking to the YouTube audience about bullish bots along these lines, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I don't want to mess this up, so let's put that back. And actually, this is even old too, so actually that's incorrect. So let's get rid of that now. I think at the end of last week, I was sort of talking a little bit about this setting up. And if we clone that, and we go about trade, well, actually that looks a little bit big. Oh, this is off Flyer. Oh, that's why, because it was OK Coin that I was talking to you guys about. Sorry about that. Totally derailed you there. I think it's OK Coin that I do these reports off of. And I've lost my train of thought. I seem to remember. Well, you know what? Why don't we quit messing around? Let's just pull up the Twitter feed just so we can show you what the heck it is I'm looking at here. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Where are you, tweets? Tweet, tweet, tweet. All right. So, somewhere in all this mess. Yeah, here we are. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, we had this cute little bullish bot. So that's a daily OK coin 3-month that I drew that off of. And we had suggested that the entry off of this bot was sitting right at the POC. And if we popped up to this 41.49 area, then you'd move your stop to scratch. And we got up, we hit a high here of 41.38, off the close. And then she just backed right off. And I remember leaving the conversation suggesting that this was a megaphone. And then what was really interesting through the weekend, actually, and this is what I remember in particular. Actually, this is a conversation we were having on the site earlier today. We rallied up, broke out to new highs, thought, hey, the bull's in control, the bull's in control. Nope. And she rolled right over and broke back down. And on the breakdown, we did bearish bots, like so and like so. So made 33%. So the bot is technically alive. Clone. Then we drew it off of these levels. So this had the bot entry. Where are we going to have that trade? Should probably have all this stuff ready ahead of time. So the bot actually fired a sell signal through here. And I think I remember I posted that out on Twitter. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Where is the Twitter? Around here somewhere. Yeah, over here. So we said, I'm a bull 1. Right, that was that move to new highs. You can see where the move stopped to trailing or stopped to scratch level was. Rallied right up into that level and then crapped out. Boo hisses, boo. And all right, so we said, oh my goodness, what a head fake, right? On the head fake, it got me just hop off and just, and I didn't take the trade, so. But the commentary was we should just be neutral now. Then moving forward, we asked simply, on the head fake breakout, and then, we had drawn these bull bear battle lines. We thought, okay, I'm a bull, but then we crapped out and went, I'm a bear. And so the question ultimately was, okay, well, are we going to lose our lunch here? Or was this megaphone pattern going to dominate price action? And as I just showed you a moment ago, that bearish bot, that AB equals CD, was projecting down into 31.60 if this thing had played out. All right, so on this tweet, following up that message, we said the bearish bot did fire, and that was this trade signal there. Move stop to break even was hit. And so if this thing ratcheted back and respected the megaphone line, then you just walk away at this one at scratch. And so you end up like spinning your wheels, doing a whole bunch of trading, but not really going anywhere. But you have to understand that the bot is a trend continuation trade strategy. So if we go into a raging market state, it's probably best that you do hop off because the market's not trending anymore. So, in essence, and frankly speaking, I don't want to be a Bitcoin bear. I want to be a Bitcoin bull. I'd love to see the market bottom and take off higher again. But we reported, yeah, hate bears. Ironically enough, I was actually pleased to see that the move stopped to break-even level was tripped up, busting this bearish setup. And interestingly enough, this is sort of an aside. I don't necessarily have this on the site as a trading setup, but the megaphone in itself is a trade setup. It's very difficult to trade. It's not easy for new people. But the long and short of it is you're looking for 3 tags of the trend line. And do you get market structure on the 3rd tag? So you can see we had this high, this high. If we rallied up to the top of the megaphone and put in a big M, holy crap, that's a massive sell signal. Boom, down we go. Or conversely, 1 tag, 2 tags, 3 tags. Uh-oh, there's that magic 3 number. And then look at what happened down here on this trend line tag. The cutest little W. I wasn't reporting this setup and I wasn't trading, and I don't have it in my trading plan, but I think I might add it to my trading plan going forward. I had one student on the site who used to trade this, and wow, what an absolutely incredible trade setup these megaphones are. But don't get me wrong, this is not easy trading at all. But nonetheless, you can see the cute little W that came in down here. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were a couple site members who actually did go long off of this trade. So congratulations, guys. Nice job. But for me and my trend continuation strategy, basically that told me, all right, everything's at scratch. Hop off. So I think that's about the furthest I updated this. We've been, and actually we had a lot of fun on the site yesterday. I think that's the most latest update I did. Yeah, we had a lot of fun on the site yesterday, and there is that double bottom. This is off of like a 30-minute chart on OKCoin. So you can see that double bottom. If somebody came to me and said, Ryan, that's a good looking W, I think I'm going to take it. And it might even be a nice harmonic because you have an M inside the W. I really wouldn't have a problem with that. If your trading plan was, look, I'm going to buy this W and I'm going to risk to these lows. Did you get 2-to-1 risk reward? Oh boy, yeah, you got well more than 2-to-1, probably about 3 or 4, maybe even 5-to-1. So I don't have a problem if somebody came to me and said, Brian, I'm going to take this double bottom here. Fine by me. The key, of course, here is it in your trading plan? Do you have your 3 reasons for acting? And do you do the same thing day in, day out? So, and if you wanted to say, well, I trade megaphones, and at the megaphone, I want to go down and look at and see if my momentum indicators are washed out, might be even in divergence. And then finally, I want a W off of the megaphone trend line. As I said, I had an old student of mine who traded this, and they're like 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1 risk reward setups. And you can see how, yeah, I can see that's a nice 3, 4, 5-to-1 risk reward setup. So it was there. I mean, I'm not going to bullshit you. I mean, it was there. I just didn't happen. It wasn't something that I was following. Now, a little bit concerning what's happened over the weekend. And that is that OKCoin announced that they were going to have a trading competition. And the problem here is that when I looked at price action in particular, not overly impressed, given our higher time frame conversations, not overly impressed with what I was seeing whatsoever. So it wasn't like the market was trending violently. If anything, what I saw off of this dead cat bounce was, like I said, bots, trending signals were off the table, and now we're sort of caught in no man's land. And we were kind of having fun yesterday in the lounge watching the DOM, doing kind of a tutorial for the group on how you interpret price action in the DOM. It was really cool to watch, iceberg orders come in on OKCoin and, the market moving to size and all that. So we had a lot of fun sort of dissecting the lower time frames. But frankly speaking, when I look at this is horrible trade location. Now, Now, what was really interesting about this trade through yesterday was I could literally see the OKCoin shenanigans at work. And keep in mind, we're technically still in a downtrend. The weekly charts have nothing more than just one big green dildo candle. So it's not like you can make the argument the market is trending violently higher, but also too, we have to be cognizant of the fact that this is not really friendly short trade location. Remember, green boxes are supposed to be buying windows, not selling windows. So playing the short side of this market right here, you're kind of like, trying to thread the needle. And, we heard recently there was a guy who was a big CME trader that said he shorted Bitcoin on the CME listing up top here. And he said he covered his shorts here because he's like, why do I need to quibble over the bottom 5-10% of the market? I don't know what this is ultimately going to look like, but I got to tell you, like playing the short side of the market here, and this is just purely Brian's opinion, 30 years experience. This is dangerous. This is tough stuff playing the short side of the market down here. You could be handed one big ass green candle here that just runs over you. And then of course we know, okay, the trend has turned back up and now we can start hunting long setups. Right now, this is actually what I like to call chop Vegas. And I find it amusing that OKCoin decided to do their trading competition right down in here. Yeah, it's interesting, Alex, you mentioned that. For our level twoers, we do a little bit more advanced study of things like WD GAN. I just have to find it here. And Alex just mentioned in the lounge that if you played GAN and you played the square of 9, it actually respected the levels pretty closely. But I don't know whether we want to be getting into a square of 9 with this audience. That might just fry their brains. Now, where the hell's the damn page? It's one of these pages. I got too many. Oh, yeah, here we are. So if you actually pull up the square of 9 and you're playing with GAN, yeah, actually we had a lot of fun playing the GAN levels. But like I said, I don't want to have that conversation with you guys today. That's just going to mess with your heads. But yeah, I think you could make the argument shorts. You can definitely see this is an important pivot for Bitcoin right now. And of course, look how it pivoted off of that level there just the other day. So you are right, Alex. I totally agree with you on that. What's really interesting, but I'm getting totally off on a tangent here, is somebody just sent me the square of 9 levels with dates on them as well, so we can actually plot the dates around the calendar year of when the levels are supposed to square up on the calendar year. So, Alex, that should be a fun exercise you and I can work on going forward here. All right, Alex has just given me a link here. Let's see what he's got. Oh, and this is the dynamic square, right? So this is another fun tool that one of our site members built. You can actually plot dynamic square of 9 levels off of TradingView. And it's updated on a daily basis based on, what do they call it? They call it the LTP with 48 as a scale. That's an interesting number. I wonder why 48. If anything, maybe when we come back from Christmas break for the level tours, we could have a little discussion about that in our group. What do you think, Alex? That's probably not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind picking your brain and seeing what your logic is here. So cool. Okay, and by the way, Alex, one of our, actually he was my host when I was in Berlin. There he is. He's such a handsome guy too. I don't know whether I'm allowed to show his picture on YouTube, but I just did. Anyway, you're now immortalized. He's our TA for our level 1 program that just finished. I don't know whether he wants the job in the coming term, but if he does, it's all him. If he wants it, he's such a great, just beautiful person. And that's what I absolutely love about working this. I can literally look down at all the people in the lounge here, and especially the ones that I've met, like San. He wrote some beautiful algorithmic code for the site, along with Alex, right? Again, they write all these TradingView scripts, and we're integrating them into the site. And in our library, Mind you, some of the scripts you actually have to ask permission from Alex, and we were actually just doing this before the start of today. But these, these are all the different people that on our site that have written scripts, and there's all Alex scripts on there. So there's Sen, right? We've talked lots about Benjamin. Where's Benjamin? That's actually his script, the Square of 9 script that I just showed you off of Alex's chart. So we have lots and lots of fun. And this is this whole sort of 1 + 1 = 3. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, I'm the shit. I know what to do. And I'm the only person who knows what to do. And that's just, and if you know who Brian is, you know that that's just not me. And if anything, what I like is, of course, over the past 30 years, I've picked up a few things along the way on my journeys. I like to impart them to my students, and then I like to see us sort of 1 + 1 = 3. We all work together to make this a better, more enjoyable experience. So big shout out, big plug for Alex. Basically bought the Kool-Aid, bought the punch, whatever. And he's just trading up a storm, and it's beautiful to watch these people in action. Just beautiful. So anyway, that's who I was talking about there a moment ago about Alex. All right, back to our story. Where the hell was I? I can't even remember what I was talking about. So here's a lower time. Well, actually, this is an hourly chart, but I think I was even looking at this on a 15-minute chart. And what I noticed, basically, OKCoin, I think they started their competition somewhere in this area here. We have one of our site members who is big ups from RAF. All right, thanks, Massa Kroom. Is that magic? Anyway, if that's magic, hey magic. I hope you're studying at uni. And say hi to Raf for me. I don't know whether that's magic or not, though. Oh, it's Raf. Oh, okay. Hi, Raf. You're just on the phone. Okay. Well, anyway, good to see you, bud. Raf's another perfect example of just beautiful people I have the privilege of being surrounded by. Oh, these people, they're just, I got to tell you, you YouTubers that you're just watching, and you don't really know who the hell Brian Beamish is and what it is we do here. I got to tell you, just the karmic experience of being around TRI, I think is worth the $20 a month subscription alone. In comparison to the attitude and the tone of public groups, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I mean, just it's a joy just coming into our lounge and just hanging around these people. It really is. I mean, I have to say, I said it before, but I have to say, I'll say it again. This site has gone way beyond Brian Beamish. Yeah, I'm sort of captain of the ship to a certain degree. Although Stuart and Julian might disagree. I think we're like co-captains. But really, this site is now taken like it's beyond, it's become the community. And you see through all the all the like the scripts and stuff, and I give shout outs to all the people. They're great people to hang around with, like really, really nice people. And we all literally try and help each other out. Nobody's here to fuck anybody else over, seriously. So anyway, that's here nor there. Okay, so back to our story. So we had the big pop, which I think caught a lot of people off guard. Like I said, Brian's bearish setups got stopped at scratch. You could argue megaphone players got nice buy signals and they got rewarded nicely. Way to go, megaphoners. Then I noticed that they tried, and keep in mind, OKCoin competition. They tried to get people to come in on the long side. And then I think they tried to get people flush to the downside, really messing with the kids' heads here just immensely. And then notice, look at these highs. They're so cheeky. Look at this high. 37, 87, 99. And notice, look what they did here. 37, 85. But that's a clothesline new high. So all the clothesline people, they go, oh, higher highs and higher lows. That's bullish. All right, let's go and buy this. Right. And then, all the people that are short and that are like, okay, well, I'm just going to risk to new highs. Look at the high on this bar, 37.88 even. Remember, this high was 37.87.99. So they literally took it out by one tick. Make sure that anybody was going to be like, well, I'm going to risk to new highs, M tops, blah, 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 blah. They washed them out and then they dumped it. And what was really interesting, like I said, through yesterday, because one of the site members, Kevin, and I got to say, man, this guy puts his nose to the grindstone, working his fucking butt off. And I can see the results in him. He is learning. He's feeling price action. He's getting better and better with every hour that he's putting in. And he's, I wouldn't recommend it, but he's an extremely earnest gentleman. And he's trading off at a lower time frames and just taking setups, just keeps trading because he wants to get better. He wants to refine. That's fine. If you can hold yourself to account. Keep in mind, a lot of people, you get burnt out really quickly going long, then going short, then going long, then going short, then going long, then going short. But, the long and short of it here, long and short, the irony of it all is it was really cool to watch the order book. And the way that there was literally just one big dude who was pushing this market around here. And I find it kind of sad because, like I said, a lot of the new people to trading, I even saw like people were like, all right, yeah, I'm going to fade this rally and, big look left. You could literally see they were painting the tape, goading the public into going short here. I don't know whether we can see volumes here. Yeah, you can see they were trying to ramp up the bear side of the volume here, but it just couldn't break out. Notice like this bear bar here was, where are we here? 734. This bar here, 644, 679. They just couldn't break that bearish volume out. And then here, notice, and this was a bit of a trap, notice that this volume here is 613. That's actually lower, so this creates a scenario where if we have a down bar, and I think I did this with you guys last weekend, we did the volume impetus study. And quite literally, if you see three lower, let's see if I can maximize this. If you see three lower bars from your volume, then it means one of the camps has fallen asleep. So we go like one high, two highs, three highs. Do you see how it's getting less and less and less, right? And then, if we get a volume bar lower than this bar right here, that means the bears have fallen asleep. Now, the problem here is that on the moment that the bears fall asleep, it's incumbent on the bulls to wake up. Well, that's cool, Jay. And really, keep in mind, I've been at this for 30 years. So I used to have a sales manager like 10 years ago. And geez. Yeah, actually about 12, 13 years ago. He used to say, Brian, all I got to do is just throw you up on stage, hit the on switch, let you just talk. People will just be like enamored with the bullshit, right? But just let you talk and then come back an hour later and then hit the off switch. Then put you back in the cupboard, open up all the accounts, do all the business, and then move you to the next city. Prop you up on stage. As soon as the room's full with people, hit the on switch, away he goes. After an hour, hit the off switch, put him back in the cupboard, rinse and repeat. So, that'd be awesome if you could get to my stage in a weird sort of way. But Jay, I'm going to do you a favor here. You don't want to be like me. You really don't. If all the people on the site know my personal story, you do not want to live my personal story. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But also too, I made a critical error when I was young. And frankly, I don't know how old you are, Jay, but heed this advice. I spent, like I said, about 20, 30 years in the industry. And as soon as I would get good at something, I would say, okay, now I'm bored. I want to move on to the next thing. Because my goal was I wanted to learn everything about the financial services industry. So I was a stockbroker. I was a commodities broker. I was a derivatives broker. I was a financial planner. I did back office. I ran a credit control desk. Was broker's assistants, right? Prospecting, all that bullshit, right? And that's how I got to the point where sales managers would just, go for it, Brian, speak all you want, and we'll turn you off in an hour, whatever. I actually ran a mini hedge fund with a few of my larger clients for a few years. After my wife passed away, I went and took a job as a prop crude trader. So I wanted to learn all of the inner workings about the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and how floor traders traded. My advice to you, honestly, Jay, is just pick one thing that you really like, get really good at it, and just rinse and repeat that for like 20, 30 years straight. And it'll save you a lot of headache in this world. You don't have to know everything to do well in this world. Just pick one thing that you really like and that really speaks to you, and you get really good at it, and just do that one thing over and over and over and over and over and over. You don't know how many times I've had people come up to me and say, Brian, you should be a fucking millionaire. You should be a billionaire. Why aren't you a billionaire? Well, the answer is, the worst part about it is that money doesn't really mean anything to me now. And I'm just here trying to make a difference in this world. But save yourself years of headache. If it's trading Bitcoin, well, great. Just get really good at trading Bitcoin and just do that one thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Anyway, that's Brian's piece of advice for today. Yeah, boring. But if it makes money, what the hell? Okay, so back to our story. So you can see that the bears potentially fell asleep. But at the same time, too, 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, 4 highs. Oh no, the bulls might fall asleep. And sure enough, they fell asleep too. And remember, this is the casino. They've got their funny competition going right now. Do you think that they might screw around with the market a little bit to screw with all the kids coming in and, hey, I want to win that helicopter, right? Can't you, isn't that the first prize is a helicopter? First prize. Yeah, look at that. And they even, look at this. Oh, it's a Denali H2S helicopter, right? So they even give you the name brand. So, hey, I'm going to go look it up on, I could totally imagine myself driving my helicopter. If anything, this is brilliant marketing by them, because it like, fuck Lambos, I'm driving around a helicopter. So, anyway, the point of the matter here is, do you think that maybe they might have set the public up to get bitch slapped here? And I got a funny feeling that's sort of what happened here. So back to our story. You can see that the impetus was drying up. Really, this is extremely dangerous trading, guys. And sure enough, they took it 1 tick higher than the high and then bitch slap. So all the people that were like, oh, yeah, breakouts are bullish, and I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to be in my helicopter, and they're going long. They all just got crushed like a rented mule. What I actually found fascinating about this is that if you actually just put on these simple fibs, and I think you guys have probably, I mentioned it earlier. So anybody watching the YouTube video, you get a double dose of him today. Who did we call was that guy? It's a kid helicopter. Is that better or is that worse? I don't know what that means. Anyway, the point of the matter here is this is our buddy Mountain Man. And ironically enough, through all of this, especially through this, because remember, Brian got stopped out at scratch, so he's sitting on the sidelines. And I was like, oh my God, there's no bloody way I can buy that. And there was a guy on Twitter, and I was kind of like, do I get the feeling that they're going to try and paint a top here, get all the public to think bearish? But remember, like we said, volume impetus, this was a trap. Everybody just went completely to sleep. This wasn't a volume breakout to new highs. This was just everybody. So in that kind of period, they run the market up and they bust all these stops, and then they dump it. And remember, like I said earlier, and Kevin on the site, like I told you, working like a dog, really learning this stuff. He was watching a guy. Didn't he have like 100,000 contracts or something like that? Do you remember what the number was, Kevin? It was like 150,000 contracts on OKCoin. 150,000 contracts, son of a bitch. And he was just literally pushing the market down here, right? Classic iceberg order trading. And then, into this mountain man level, ironically enough, it was actually at this point that we could actually make the argument, well, you know what? If, we clearly demonstrate that this market isn't trending. It wasn't trending down. They busted those stops. And like we said earlier, it wasn't trending up. They busted this, right? Am I a bull? Nope, I'm a bear. So it wasn't trending up. Could we have been trending down? Maybe. Nope, I'm not trending down. You call this basically range market. And remember, we had painted the megaphone levels. Ironically enough, this actually now represented a half decent buying window. Now, I did see somebody on the YouTube page there say, oh, are you calling this a head and shoulders pattern that's being painted here? And we were sort of bantering that about on the site this morning. But I think I took them off the chart, didn't I? That sucks. Could there be head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders patterns? Better make sure we correct that. Developing off of sort of like shoulder, neckline, head, shoulder, neckline, breakout? Maybe, but the problem that I have here is I hate head and shoulders that don't line up symmetrically. This is messy, really, really messy. And also too, if I'm not mistaken, head and shoulders patterns, what we should see is big panic dump volume here. We didn't get that really. The dump volume came over here. We should have gotten less volume on the head, which in essence creates a divergence, right? But you can see that actually the selling volume, right? Remember we had here, this was 1.39, and here we have 1.2. So actually volume is accelerating here. So that is problematic for the head and shoulders. Then we have this big breakout volume here. That should not have happened. And then we have even greater volume over here. That should not have happened. So ideally the head and shoulders you'd like to look down at volume and say, holy crap, yeah, the market made lower lows, but this is divergence, and really this market's pointing higher. I don't know whether we can get that. So there was somebody in the YouTube audience. Who was that? Lord One Helm Chen, who is basically suggesting there that he said, did I hear inverted head and shoulders with decreasing volume already, sir? I don't know. I'm leery. I really am. I'm not overly impressed with this head and shoulders. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't know. I'm not totally comfortable with that idea. And again, too, if this did head and shoulders out, what we'd really want to see is just a massive volume breakout here come in. The fact that this was a fairly robust volume bar here leads me to believe I'm a bit leery about this. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm not overly impressed with the non-symmetricality of this. Ideally for us to be like nice, pretty head and shoulders, we'd really like to see this be like just a nice, stable neckline like that. And that's just Brian, right? So hopefully you can see that this makes sort of like a fractal image. Think of like the maple leaf, right? That's ideally what we want to see. So the fact that this is slightly tilted, I have less confidence in this being a head and shoulders pattern. We'll see how it goes. Now, like I said, we were sort of talking about that on the site earlier today. So there was a chart that I had up earlier, and it was kind of interesting. We had this bigger head and shoulders, and then there was like a littler head and shoulders. So, you know, I'll believe that this is a nice fractal breakout bottom if we see massive buy side volume come in here. And considering it's 11, you know, almost noon here on Sunday, we're heading into a new trading week. It is the last calendar day of the year. Do I really want to make a big bet heading into that event early Monday mornings? I don't know. I'm a little leery. What I did suggest to the site and what I think is going on here is megaphone and arranging market state. And as I had said just a moment ago, that was one hell of a level there on Mountain Man. And actually, if you draw on, like what I like to do is I draw trend lines off of the bottoming market structure, and then I like to draw these triangles off of the trend lines, and it sort of gives you like a buying window where ideally I'd like to see price come into. And I notice even now, and you can see this is sort of what I've postulated as sort of our short-term sort of where do I think the market is going over the next little bit. You know, on the site, I would put up this image. Everybody know what this is? This is kind of what I think OKCoin is doing to the kids right now, which is kind of sad. Right? I think that they're just sort of messing with their heads. I like to call this cat GIF ping pong. And if you look at the price chart, considering that this is the weekend, I mean, let me ask you a very simple question. If Bitcoin was getting ready to bottom and getting ready to rock and roll and take off, and it's about to moon launch here, do you think they're going to do that ahead of the Chicago boys and the New York boys? Do you think the Chicago boys and the New York boys are going to allow that? I don't think so. If anything, what I've kind of seen is when we go into the weekends, they sort of set up ranges and they kind of say, all right, you crazy crypto kids, you're going to have fun on your weekend. Here's your trading range. Go have some fun. And my hunch is, and I think I even drew this, but I'm not positive. Friday was the 28th. So you notice that there is Friday. There's the New York zone. See that? So there is 8 a.m. This is what we like to call the New York kill zone right in here. We used to have a very old lesson in the market that I learned as a broker. Do not trust the first hour of trading. And here's a perfect example. If you're thinking bearish, oh, this market's heading down, they put in railroad tracks and pow, they just bitch slap you. What I think this means is that basically the New York boys, Chicago boys, whatever, Goldman Sachs's, Merrill Lynch's, you know, even Joey Diamond for that matter, probably these days, they basically parked Bitcoin up in this range here through the latter part of the New York session. Then the weekend comes. All right, let's have some fun, right? And you can see this is just like I showed you just a moment ago. I think this is cat GIF ping pong, where they're just bouncing it back and forth between the fib ranges. Business as usual. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. And my hunch is by Monday morning, they're going to bring it right back into this area. Probably like up into here. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. Now, what we might find is, you know, maybe through the Asian session, they ramp it up and then they actually pull it back into the New York opening session and they just back it up into the original levels that they were long or short from, just so that they can square up their positions. but I don't think we should be looking for Bitcoin to ramp like $1,000 all the way up to here through the weekend. I just don't think it's realistic. But we'll see what happens. I think on balance, and this is sort of the roadmap that we've been sort of chatting about on the site through the weekend. And this is the chart that I posted this morning. You can see that if we've got, a bit of a trend line here working. So clearly this is a bit of a support line. You can see how the market came down into that level, rallied away. You might even make an argument that this set up another little mini reload zone, right? This low is all the way down to here. This low high was up to there. So if we do reload zones, oh yeah. So you can see these nice wicks right up into that area. And I absolutely love when you get sort of reload zones within reload zones. So you can sort of see how that works. Not a bad trade location. I don't know whether we've actually, well, I do know for certain. We haven't lost this trend line. It was interesting last night when they dumped the market into Mountain Man. Initially, the very first thing I did was I said, we got to put a 38.2. Remember we talked about Ray Burchett, good old Ray's barbecue, first stop target when we talked about Bitcoin to start off with, right? So there is that 38.2. And I sort of figured last night that they were going to dead cat bounce this thing into 38.2. And then we find out what their plan was. And so I might make the argument that that's exactly what we saw happen here. I went to bed last night and I think I said, well, that's it, guys. I'm done. Kevin, I do remember specifically, said, well, I'm going to be shooting for a revisit of this node up here on the profile, try to fill in this just huge hole in the profile. There just isn't a lot of volume traded here. And I'm going to be looking for a test of this reload zone here. Wasn't that correct, Kevin? I think that's what you were saying yesterday. Yeah. So way to go, Kevin. Kevin might win the damn competition. He's kicking ass lately. The veteran traders, they will just simply strap on a position and risk to new highs. But that takes a lot of anxiety. I'm not going to say that's easy. And you better have a vetted trading plan. This is the whole reason. If you want to trade like this and you're like, well, Brian, I don't even know where to begin. Well, get your butt in the school. Let's build that trading plan. Let's vet it out. Let's teach you the setups, right? Obviously, hourly chart, that ain't going to cut it. Probably going to have to go down to like a 15-minute chart or something like that. All right, so now you can see the rally. You can see the dump. You can see the counter trend rally. You can see the nice test. So now we're starting to build those sort of reasons to justify shorting in here. We might even look at like indicators to see whether we have any divergence signals up through here. Do we have any structure? You can see how they're taking price back down against this key trend line now. And what are your parameters for taking profits? Remember, I like to use the 50% rule. So where is Mr. 50% right now? That is right there. Ooh, look how close they came to that level just here recently. You can even see how they dumped it. Why did the market stop where it did right there? My hunch is a lot of guys who hit that probably took profits at that 50% rule. It's just a time-tested rule in the marketplace. So you can trade like this. I'm not saying you can't, but this is definitely not for beginners, right? You have to know what the hell you're doing to be trading like this. So back to our simple story. It's the weekend. I think OKCoin guys are having fun with the market. I'm a little concerned when I look at the profile and I see that, there was our bottom. You can now see the distribution of volume up top here. I really don't like how big this hole is up here. This bothers me immensely. And if we did get that dump down into this area, that might actually go a long way to filling in that profile. And then I'll just finish off with, if we actually start getting lower highs and lower lows, well, did I say that right? Lower highs and lower lows? What we might actually start seeing is bearish setups start to develop. So we have this high here. There's one high. We have this high here. There's two highs. Here is the bot short entry off of the higher time frame. We might just go whoop roop, roop, right? You can see what my forecast was. I don't know what's going to happen here, but if we dump through this bot level, that actually sets up a new short signal for the market. Let's see if I can show you that, zoom out a bit. All right, so that is there to there. Counter trend rally, at least 33, but no more than 66. If we go one high, two highs, three highs, put in structure here, there is the bot short level. And gee whiz, remember I had said earlier, I really didn't like the look of this original bottom here. It just doesn't, this does not, I mean, ideally what we want to see if this is a nice solid bottom is down, up, down, serious test of those lows, and then a turn back up. We didn't get that here, right? We got down, up, small consolidation, continuation, which means that this is all open air down in here. A little bit worrisome. And then notice too, this A, B, C, D takes us right down into that level, but does not break that low. So both scenarios, both bullish and bearish scenarios are on the table for me right now. You know, it's a trader's life. You know, if you've never heard this before, YouTubers, and I see there's a bunch of you watching, I know all the site people, they know this because they hear me say it all the time. We have to remember a trader's life is all about strong opinions, but loosely held. Really, I've painted my scenario here. I don't know which way this market's going to break. That's a trader's life. Get used to it, right? But my sort of impression is, you know, cat ping pong. I still think we're playing the cat ping pong game. I absolutely love candle body lows for trade location. And when candle body lows set up off 78.6s, oh my God, I love that even more. So that's why I sort of painted this dip against these lows. Now, we might just dip and it goes careening through these lows. That's totally possible. I mean, you don't know. It's trader's life. But my hunch is if we do get that dip, then, you know, nice little pivot, just sort of like what we saw yesterday. And if anything, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see this as a violent, just dump really hard like this. When you see a candle dump really hard into a level, you know, all the public's like, holy fuck, the sky's falling. But ironically enough, the more violent this dump is into this level, the actual better odds that this will pivot. And sure enough, you can see how that pivoted off of this. So ideally, I would love to see a dump hard into that level, which would lead me to believe that, okay, maybe this is a bit of a pivot here. I think that there's a lot of back and forth. I don't know whether you can see this, but do you see how it sort of is going like ME? And, you know, if we lose this trend line, we might actually just do a replication of this M, but as a W on the other side. And then remember, this is where New York finished. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, they have marching orders. You better bring this price right back to where you finished on Friday. That might be what happens here the rest of this afternoon. We could very easily, like I said, we haven't lost the trend line yet. We could just very easily just sort of meander in here. That's totally possible. But sort of, you know, what's sort of Brian's inkling? I'm thinking this scenario. And then when we get to this point here, that's when we're going to find out whether we're really a bull or a bear. And if we're a bear, we will dump and we will lose this reload zone in here. And my hunch is we got to come all the way right back and bearish bots, right? Things really start getting going to the downside. Oops. All right, you see how I set this up? And if we fail off of here, then I'm going to be looking for that sort of 3,100 target that previous bearish bot had. If, however, and it's a big if, you just don't know, but if, however, we come down and, you know, the rule is no more than 66, that's awfully close to that 66 level. We might be bullish botting out here. This is very sloppy. We have one low. I'd like to see 2 lows, then 3 lows. If we did get that, then I could start thinking about bullish projections. And if we W out here, then we might have the bullish scenario, and away she goes. So really, I mean, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, Brian, you're supposed to know exactly which way it's going to go. What I'm going to say is I know exactly that we're stuck in a trading range right now, and on the resolution of this range, it will tell me which way we're going to go. That's my answer for you guys here today. So, what I like to do is, and I'll see if I can remember to do this. I didn't do it last time, but I sort of walk through all the tweets since last show. But I will put that as my comment for this video. And that's where I think we'll leave off the conversation. What is going to happen? Do we dip down in here and create a nice little W and trend continuation way higher? And I'll sort of tweet out through the week as this develops what I see happening. Or do we dump into here, M out, and trend continuation our way lower? That's basically what I'm thinking. Okay, the only other thing that I'll mention here today, and I sort of mentioned it just very briefly, is opportunity nowhere. If that's the case, you're not really interested in the market, just leave it alone. Is opportunity now here? I'm leaning onto this camp. And so as a result, I'm in here bidding away on all of these names. Threw in another bid. I've already got a whack of it, but I love the name. And everybody on the site and takes my school program knows how much I love talking about library credits. But, hopefully you can see the logic of why a guy like Brian would be in here thinking about, and keep in mind, guys, on these rallies here, this is where I go and sell, sell half on a double, banging out doubles, yada, yada, yada. So now the market's washing itself out. Now I can go in and start buying those coins back. And hopefully everybody can understand the logic about why I'm in here bidding against this W. All right? Hopefully you can all see this. Maybe if I change this, I don't know whether daily. All right, so hopefully you can see down, up, down, breakout. So I'm more than happy to go in here and try and buy a little bit more library credits. Well, same thing with this PIVX that I just showed you a moment ago. I am more than happy to go in here and start accumulating. Whoops, not off of there. There we are. All right, nice clean chart. And, all you guys have been following me for a while, you should know exactly where I should be bidding. And if we go boobity-boo and boobity-boo, guess where Brian's bidding? In the reload zone. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to get any fills. I just don't know. But I'm more than happy. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I got my bid working down in here. One of our site members, San, absolutely loved the gaps module in I think it's our level 2 program. And he actually built a script to help us see gaps on the chart. That's what these dots are. And isn't this so cool? You can see that right down here in the middle of our reload zone, gee whiz, there's a juicy little gap. See that right there? So, the irony of it all is I don't even need to tell you where I'm bidding. You already can tell me where I'm bidding. And in all honesty, when I look at charts like this, to me, this says opportunity is now here. And as these names come along, I'm more than happy to go and start accumulating again. Okay, I think I'll leave the broadcast at that today. I sure hope you enjoyed the presentation. I'm so thankful. Thank you, Jojo. In fact, actually, we were even I don't know whether I want to get all emotional. Maybe I should. I have a bad habit of wearing my emotions on my sleeve. So, but we were playing the "If You Build It, They Will Come" stuff from Field of Dreams. I honestly feel like the other side came to me after I lost my wife and said, Brian, and they spoke through Jojo. And they said, Brian, you have this opportunity to really help a lot of people. And the great part about it now is this site is going beyond just Brian. If anything, it's kind of cool that if my time is done now, I'd be more than happy. And I believe this site has enough inertia now. We've trained enough people that can teach us. Like I said, the level 1 program, we have one of our veterans who actually does the instructing through that level 1 program. I believe that we're at the point where this thing called TRI is a self-sustaining organism. I'm not going anywhere. As long as they want me to keep helping you guys, I'm here to help. But it makes me so happy, and it's so nice, waking up and seeing all you great people on a daily basis. Really touches my heart. So, all right. So, if you are interested in becoming part of the community, would absolutely love to have you part of it. Please understand, we're all about PMA. So if you're not a PMA person, maybe TRI isn't for you. If you are searching for that safe environment where you're not going to get pooped on and people aren't going to try and sell you something, TRI is a great place for that. We try to keep it nice and cheap and affordable so that really it's not a big financial drain to have you part of our community. If you'd like some help and you're really stressed about risking your money in the marketplace, and trust me, it's extremely stressful stuff. It's not easy being a professional speculator. Yeah, Sen says all of his work is sold on a subscription basis of 0.00. Those are the kind of people that we have at TRI, hats off to you, Sen. It's beautiful. Alex, same thing, right? When he writes his scripts, right? Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is if you need some help to get yourself centered and focused and acting like a professional, all about that, managing your emotions and playing from a position of strength, well, maybe consider joining our education program. All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. Hope you got some good value out of what I've offered here. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think we even have a free site trial. I don't know whether it's gone live yet or not. I'll probably tweet out something to the effect when that free site trial is activated and it's ready to go. So we even have the ability for you to join us for a few days and just see what it's like on the inside. And ironically enough, my hunch is as soon as you actually see us at work on a daily basis, you'll be like, how can I not be at TRI? But we'll leave that up to you. All right. I think I've said my piece. Ahmed says, one more thing. Could you please show us the best and cheapest way to buy crypto? I think I'll probably leave that for sort of the Twitterverse. If anybody wants to post, cheap, easy ways for Ahmed to onboard himself onto crypto, I mean, really, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, right? Isn't that how it goes? And of course, it's entirely dependent on what country you're in. The United States of America, you're not even allowed to look at a chart like this, right? So, that's a big issue unto itself. So I think I'll probably leave that question to someone else. I'm here to try and help you manage emotions and trading, Ahmed, and help you build trading plans and understand things like location tools, indicator tools, structure tools, and price, risk management strategies, all that. Where exactly is the cheapest way to buy Bitcoin? Why don't we actually make that if you're watching this video and you'd like to comment and you'd like to help Ahmed, why don't we make this sort of a group project where everybody can put in the comment section for Ahmed to try and help answer his question. If you were going to try and onboard into crypto, where would you suggest Ahmed go? Why don't we do that? That's a good way to get some interaction here. Okay, why don't we leave it at that for today? Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. All the best. PMA for the win. And the only thing left I got to say is a big bye for now.